Welcome to the She Shack. Welcome to the She Shack. It is Thankful Tuesday. Welcome to the She Shack.
Oh, okay.
Every week. Listen, every week this camera catches her off guard. She do not be ready. Welcome to the She Shack, guys. How y'all doing? Today is Thankful Tuesday. I am so happy to be here with y'all tonight. We have a hot, interesting topic that is coming up. I am so excited to talk to you guys tonight. We are talking about what's going on in our culture. We're going to be talking about how, have the attitude change over the years with African Americans and boys versus girls in our culture. So this is something specifically related to us, and we're going to be talking about that tonight. I cannot wait to get started. But before we jump into the topic, I know she probably didn't see the Miami Heat game last night, but I want to know how many people saw Miami Heat game last night. Butler was on fire, had a phenomenal performance. 53, 54 points last night. It was phenomenal. I don't know who saw it. If you was tuned in, baby, Miami Heat showed out.
No,
showed out.
Did they show out?
They showed out last night. I'm talking about, I was sitting on the edge of the, I'm sitting like this. Whoa! Oh my God, he made another one. Like, it was so off the hook. It was just an amazing night. Just for our culture, man. Just to see Butler just light it up, break barriers, and break records last night. It was a sight to be seen. It was definitely a sight to be seen.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it.
I don't know, but you're looking over the edge of your glasses. She is not with us today, guys. Let me just tell you, maybe she'll warm up as the show go along, but I don't know where she at right now. She is not with us.
I'm here.
Today is
that's all.
Listen, you got to bring the energy. Today is Thankful Tuesday. It's always an amazing day here in the She Shack because it gives us an opportunity to reflect and to think back on what we're actually thankful for. What's going on? Like, think about any adversities you may have faced or any challenges you may have came across from the last time that we got together, or just something to just be thankful for, a joyous occasion. Just God showing up and being absolutely amazing is something. So what are you thankful for?
Basically speaking, I'm thankful to just be here.
Mm-hmm. That's a great thing to be thankful for.
I mean, I've heard quite a bit of bad news throughout the week, but I'm thankful that God has kept and sustained me this whole week, regardless of what the bad news were, what the situation is, whatever I'm going through personally. I still thank God because I looked at it as it could always be worse.
Well, let me tell y'all what I'm thankful for, because I am thankful for quite a few things. The first thing that I am thankful for is this platform. Having this opportunity to come to you guys every Tuesday. The support and the love that you guys have poured into the She Shack has been nothing short of amazing. I'm seeing some growth on Instagram. I am very thankful for you guys to just be showing us the love that you're showing us. All the new followers that has liked and shared posts and our videos. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I mean, it is just it is breathtaking and it is absolutely amazing, and I thank y'all so much for that. The next thing that I'm thankful for is there soon will be an extension to our family. Today I celebrate my cousin. Her daughter gave birth to a healthy baby boy today. So congratulations to Martinique and Valon and Buffy. There's the Ate family. We have a new addition to the family. So I'm just so excited about that. Congratulations to Martinique and her husband, and to Buffy. You have another grandchild. Martez and Valon, y'all have another nephew. I am so excited. We have inherited another cousin. I am just happy about that. Soon my family will be growing. We have an expectation date of June 19th. And I cannot wait. I just cannot wait. I cannot wait to see this little baby. I am immensely grateful for the opportunity of employment and education. I'm thankful that my mother is still here. I see that people are starting to put some outpours as things are inching along toward Mother's Day. Those that have lost their mothers, and it's very difficult for them. I'm very thankful. I empathize and I send sympathy to those that have lost, that foundation in their family, and I'm immensely grateful that God has blessed me with another year with mine. So these are the things that just to scratch the surface of some of the things that I'm thankful for.
Yeah, me too. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for a lot of things. I can't list them all, but not only am I thankful, I'm grateful. I'm grateful, and I've learned how to be humble and to accept things as they come.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Every day I wake up, it's a blessing.
Absolutely.
Every day that, I could go through my day, go through my journey. I call it a journey now. I go through my journey. People I encounter one way or the other. I'm just grateful,
Your mood is definitely not right. Let me just tell you. You're not bringing enough energy today. Are you not feeling well?
I had those shots today.
Well, maybe you should have sat out today. It's okay. I appreciate your loyalty, but I can tell that your energy just ain't right today.
I just woke up too. I've been asleep since about 2 o'clock.
Oh, no, I'm just saying that energy.
That
energy is just not right today. It's just not right today.
I know, that's okay. I'm okay. I'm okay.
Okay, well, we just want to make sure that you're good. Let me just first just say, even when we talk about thankfulness, I cannot say enough how immensely thankful and how immensely grateful that I am that you show up, if not every week, nearly every week. Only time you're not here if you have an obligation to church. And that you show up every single week with an enormous amount of support, an enormous amount of love, and you won't let me not show up. So I just thank you for that. We're going to jump right into the topic tonight, right? Because Tremaine and I actually was having some conversation about this topic before the live actually started. And we was talking about boy versus girl in our African American culture have the attitude change. And he asked me, he said, what do you mean by that? And I'm like, well, let's think about when, I know when I was coming up, I'm a 70s baby, but boys wasn't allowed to play with baby dolls. You did not play with baby dolls. That was the thing that girls did. Girls didn't play with them little Tonka trucks and stuff like that because, back in the day, they was metal. You didn't play with those because they'll mess up your knees and all this other kind of stuff. We weren't allowed to get on our knees and push trucks. That was a boy thing. Boys wasn't allowed to play with baby dolls because that was a girl thing. And so it seemed like we made it like objectified with gender. Even like coming up, it was like you just don't. You did just certain things you didn't do because you was a boy. Like, you don't have tea parties because that's a girl thing. It just didn't allow boys to like explore everything because it was this fear that if you was a boy and you played with baby dolls or you got into fashion and dressed a doll, then that could simplify, baby. You got sugar in your tank. You gotta watch that little boy because he got sugar in his tank. That was like a big thing. Like you didn't do that, and it's like now we're in 2023. And, I was just wondering because you hear a lot about, I wasn't allowed to explore this when, I was young. My father told me, or my mom even told me, because I was a boy, I wasn't allowed to cry. I didn't, I had to suck up those emotions and I had to be a tough guy and wasn't able to, like, just, show that. And doing a little research, statistically, they're saying that our African American boys, right, don't perform as well as our African American girls in school because they're not taught how we're taught how academics are so important. Our boys are more taught about sports and how that is more important. So academics don't get the same prioritization in our males as it get in our females.
Okay. I'm listening.
Like, you kind of scared me a little. I'm sorry, guys. Like, she's definitely scared me a little bit. And so so, it went a little bit further into, I went a little bit further into research, and it even talked about how 37% of, in our African American culture, households are two-parent married households. 31% of those are single. 5% is single males. And 16% of our children, African Americans, are just scattered around in the foster system. So it's like we and then we have another 12% of our African American males that actually identify as being gay, but feel that they can't even express that. They feel that they can't even say or be who they are because it's not accepted in our culture. Vice versa, as in their counterparts in the Caucasian culture, right? So I was like, well, how much is that is because our upbringing? Because we hear a lot about, we have down low brothers, we have, guys that's gay. Some of us like to think that it's the whole genocide by incarceration, taking our men and putting them all together is playing a part in that. Other people think that being molested plays a part in that. Some people believe that you're born that way, and that's a part of it. Others say that you wasn't allowed to explore a feminine side of yourself as a child, and you was taught don't do this and don't do that because that was a girl thing. That plays a part in it. And it was just like, well, I wanted to have some conversation tonight to find out where my viewers are. How do you guys feel about it? Because me personally, as a parent, I never was one of those parents that told my boys they couldn't play with dolls. I was not that parent that told my daughters they couldn't play with trucks. I wasn't one of those one of those parents that was like, even when it came to exploring your body and exploring who you are, a lot of parents get, nervous. Like, oh, don't touch yourself. Don't do that. That kind of stuff. But like, it's like we shy away from it. Because I know when I was coming up, I wasn't taught about sex. The most I learned about sex was in sex ed in middle school. We didn't have those kinds of conversations about sex and your body's going to change, what's going to happen, what was natural, what was not natural, and things like that. So, hey, who I got there? Teresa, she said, times have changed so much. She said, even working with some parents, having a baby one day. I don't know. It went so fast. So I'm gonna scroll it down.
Is that Facebook?
That's Instagram.
Yeah,
that's Instagram. Okay. So I'm just gonna check it real quick. Y'all like my outfit? Cause I love this dress. I thought it was so cute. So let's see. She says, times have changed so much, even working in childcare. Most parents don't want their boys playing with the kitchen set or the baby dolls or so forth. But knowing one day they will grow up, maybe having a baby one day. And then she says, or even having to be in the kitchen one day. She said, thank you, Boo. So, I do agree because I think we get so nervous about homosexuality. We don't like to talk about it. And so we see our boys, maybe, like you said, in the kitchen. That doesn't mean, they're going to be gay. They could maybe like to cook, going to be a chef. Or even if our girls is in a workstation, doing tools. Doesn't necessarily mean, but the whole thing in a nutshell is, why do we have to objectify people and put them in boxes and not just accept them for who they are? Like, we're actually, programming them in a way in their childhood that makes them nervous to like be who they are as adults. How many of us are have enough courage to say that there was a time where they weren't quite sure if they liked girls or if they liked boys, or if the girls liked girls or if they liked boys? Like, how many people are secure enough with themselves to know that that's okay? Like, you don't have to, hide who you are in a sense because that's a girl thing or that's a boy thing, or you have to, leave town, go to a whole nother town because our culture, in a sense, is ignorant in believing that objects like dolls and trucks and kitchen sets and things like that is going to make a determination whether, you know, your little one is going to be straight or bisexual or homosexual or whatever.
I don't necessarily think so. I don't necessarily think so. The toy that they play with is going to define who they are when they grow up.
Don't cry, because that's what punks do. Now, say that you have never heard that saying. Like, my brother even tells my nephew that, suck that up.
Well, I never. If to me, men, boys, whatever, they have to learn. Crying does not determine whether, you know, it doesn't poke holes into your manhood. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. If you cry for a reason. All right? Mm-hmm. You're just not going to sit up there and be boo-hooing for no reason. Right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't make you less than a man to shed a tear. To me, when a man cries, that just shows me that who he is as a man, his sensitivity aspect of his manhood. Mm-hmm. Okay? So I don't look at that as being feminine. Crying to me is not being feminine. Crying to me is showing an expression.
So why you ain't let my brother play with baby dolls?
Marlon told your dogs up. That's the reason why I didn't let him play. I'm going to be out here honest with you. He used to pull the heads off of them and everything else. That's the reason why I didn't. It wasn't because he couldn't play with them. It was because they cost too much money and he was tearing them up. Okay.
You ain't let me play with trucks though. That's gonna mess up your knees.
Well, you know what they always say. You know, young ladies shouldn't have dark black knees. You know, scrubbing on your knees make your knees dark and dirty and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I was more, you know, as far as you was concerned, you were more dainty. You wasn't a roughneck. You wasn't tomboys. You didn't climb trees and stuff like that.
Mama, I climbed some trees.
Nah.
I climbed one time and I swiftly figured out that wasn't for me.
She was more dainty. Okay.
But the thing was, I was allowed to explore though. I was allowed to explore. Yeah, I got on that tree and I was like, that wasn't for me.
I mean, you know, I let my kids, this is the thing with me. I didn't like for my children to be dirty. Okay. So when I cleaned them up, you know, I had this thing, don't you go out there getting that dirt, you know, or, you know, don't do this, don't do that, or whatever the case may be. But then again, when we went places, I always wanted them to be well-rounded.
Hold on, we have a viewer that says, give me 1 second. This Instagram scroll be moving so fast.
Oh, here you go. Here it is right here.
Okay. She said, yep, I hear you. So many parents telling their boys that it's not okay to cry as a boy or that they need to get over it. I think that makes them grow up and to be very close off with their feelings. I agree with that.
Yeah, here it is. Right here. You don't have to get up.
Okay, good. We rolling. We rolling now. She got us together now. She got us rolling. Teresa, I absolutely agree with that. I remember when I'm gonna make y'all laugh real quick, right? So I remember a time when because my boys are close in age. They're like, you know, they're not even 18. Mama, I read it.
Oh, this is another one.
Give me a second, Mom. Give me a second.
All right.
So, you made me really so. I was gonna make y'all laugh a little bit. I did read that one, Mom. Okay. So. My boys are kind of close up in age. They're adults now, but there was a time when my husband found them on the deck, right? He found them on the deck, and they was pretending like they had boobs, and they was pretending like they had babies in their belly. And baby, let me tell you, they was out there, and they was having a time of their life talking about my titties is bigger than your titties. No, your titties is bigger than my titties. Then they had these things underneath their shirt, and they was slapping them. He panics, like completely panics. He was like, go get your sons right now because they outside. So I go out there and I peek out the window and I see my boys and my boys got balloons and they got them up underneath their shirts and they're acting like they have boobs and they slapping each other boobs and they just cat cat, and they falling out laughing. But honey, let me tell you that daddy didn't find no humor in that. None. It was not humorous at all. He was ready for them to get spankings. This is not the way it's supposed to be. These boys is not supposed to be carrying on this way. And baby, when I tell you, he was upset. He was like, go get them boys. Go, listen, go get your sons. Come out here, see what your sons is doing. And secretly, I thought the shit was hilarious. You know what I mean? I was cracking up. I was cracking up. I thought it was hilarious, but it kind of made him like, listen, y'all got to sit down and we need to talk about the boys don't have boobs. And the whole thing was, they knew that boys didn't have boobs. They was able to understand that girls had it, but they thought it was funny. They actually was making a joke of one of my girlfriends that had extra large boobs. And so they was, you know, so they got between themselves and they thought this was the funniest crap ever. And they was pretending that, you know,
they did that.
They wanted to be like, let me see how they bounce around and all this sort kind of stuff. But obviously, you know, it didn't contribute to their sexuality at all. It was just showed that they had a sense of humor. So I thought, like that to me, that was absolutely, hilarious. It was hilarious.
They did that one because I was peeping at them. I was visiting at the time, and they were back there on her deck with the door closed, and they were just having themselves an absolute ball.
Yeah, they were. Me being the kind of mom that I was, I didn't panic about my children's sexuality much. Like, I believe as a parent, you can look when your child is growing up and you can pretty much tell what kind of characteristic that, that you see within them. But sometimes I believe that parents don't want to accept that, maybe their daughter is excelling on this way or their son is excelling on this way. Mm-hmm. Or maybe, the daughter is maybe more like want to be a football player or want to be, whatever the case may be.
I'm like you. I never panicked one way or the other. I for the most part, I accepted my children for who they were. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I wanted them to grow up not being afraid to express who they were. All right. Mm-hmm. So I never told them not to do this or you can't do that. I always try to encourage you guys, whatever you felt that you was big enough and bad enough to do.
I don't know, Mama, because you definitely had some restrictions. You had some restrictions.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I didn't have restrictions.
Little girls don't do that.
What parent won't have restrictions to a certain degree? Okay.
I just think that some of the things that we grew up with.
Times is different. If I was raising a child now, my thought process would probably be different than it was back then. Okay.
So you would let your son or your daughter play with a doll baby?
Look, you got to think about it. They have boy dolls, girl dolls. You got grown men around here wearing purses. There wasn't no man wearing no purse when I was coming up.
Mama, they was wearing purses, Mom. They just didn't wear them when we was outside.
Well, maybe so. I didn't see it. They got men purses these days. They got all kind of stuff. But it does not change who they are, period.
It's not so much about changing people or who they are, but it's about allowing people to be who they are. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. If that's your thing, that's your thing.
Our culture is hard. Our culture,
that's because we just see our culture. A lot of cultures.
We're not talking about a lot of cultures.
Our culture is. I don't think our culture is no different than anybody else.
I disagree with that.
I don't think so.
I disagree with that.
I don't think our culture is any different than anybody else. I think our culture is more verbal.
Our culture is hard. I just was talking to him earlier about boys not supposed to cry. He said they're not supposed to cry, especially doing
I don't
sports.
Agree with that.
And then I said, well, you see them, they all fussing and they showing emotion all the time. And then so he says they only supposed to do it at the end of the game. That's what he said.
The problem is,
what is the problem?
Black people don't have culture no more. That's the problem is. Talk about that.
Oh, so now you're trying to say we don't even have culture.
Nope.
So what do we have if we don't have a culture?
We got add-ons.
We got add-ons?
Yeah.
What kind of add-ons?
I'm gone.
No, brother. You can't make a statement like that.
done lost our culture as African American people.
Nah, I don't believe that shit. Excuse me.
Oh, she's awake now. She is awake now. She is definitely. Oh, now you done touched the nerve, honey, because she done dropped a bomb, a sugar honey iced tea bomb real quick. So we have to research that most parents don't encourage. They don't encourage their children nowadays. Most children that I'm taking care of,
don't know how to express themselves at all. It starts at home. That's what she's saying.
She said, ooh, she's up now. Girl, yeah, she is up now. She was like, don't be saying that. So I want to know how many people believe that, we as African American people, we've lost our culture. I disagree with that.
I don't agree with that. I don't think we lost our culture.
Other cultures believe that we don't even have culture. Like I have a girlfriend that is from Liberia. Shout out to my girlfriend, my sissy, Malai. I'm gonna come check on you. I heard that you wasn't feeling well. But one of the conversations that we had, and she said about us Americanized African people, she said we lack culture. She said that's like one of the biggest things. Like we lack culture. They have traditions that I believe that they believe is culture because they traditionally do things according to what the ancestors did, right? Mm-hmm. And here in Americanized Africans, we're more taught to be not to mimic what we saw our ancestors do because they were dehumanized, they were slaves, they was this and that. That's all they want to teach us. But it's so much more to us than what they tell you about us. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay, I'm not like minimizing, slavery by any means, but I believe that made us as a people stronger. I don't believe that it tore us down as a people. I mean, we saw a rise of so many inventions, so many powerful and amazing people persevered through that I believe that is our culture.
That's culture.
That's what we reflect.
Yeah, we fighters. We are fighters as a whole because we had to fight our way through so many things. We had to fight our way through slavery. We have still fighting our way through segregation. As quiet as it kept, prejudice. We had to fight our way through that. Being treated equally. Justice. We are fighters. We had to fight for everything that we have up to this present time. Black people as a whole in this good old US of A, we had to fight for everything that we have. Or everything that is allowed to us, okay? Even our right to vote, we had to fight for that right, Mm-hmm. Then they had to vote whether or not to give us the right to vote. Mm-hmm. As you know, not too long ago, it came back up again in Congress that black people...
Because it's an amendment.
It's an amendment that we have the right to vote. So it's not about whether we lost our culture. No, we African American here in the U.S., we are fighters. And the reason why we are fighters is because we had to fight for everything that we have up to this present moment. We are fighters, okay? Mm-hmm. So it's not about us losing our culture. We have tradition. We celebrate holidays. And every holiday we celebrate, we had to fight for it. It wasn't magically put on the calendar, say, Washington birthday. It's automatically on the calendar. Okay? Mm-hmm. But Juneteenth was not something that was on the calendar. Mm-hmm. Dr. Martin Luther King birthday was not something that was on the calendar. We had to fight for that. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. They didn't just give it to us.
I think she's made it very clear, Mr. Trench, that you have barked up the wrong tree this evening talking about that we do not have culture. Obviously, this is a sensitive topic.
It is very sensitive.
It's a sensitive topic, and that's why I just wanted to discuss it because we hear a lot about, our black men. Our black men are dehumanized. They are talked about. They are not given the value. They're not given the credit that they deserve. as our strength in our culture.
And that's because they always want to tear down the black race. Don't you know other cultures fear us because we can be so powerful? Okay?
We are powerful as a people.
If we come together the way that we really are supposed to, black people as a whole can be very powerful. And we are powerful.
Yeah, because
now.
you keep saying what we could be. I believe that what we are. I just like
we
media only shows what media wants you to see about people like us.
They only want to show our black men as being thuggish.
Well, why do I hear you saying like they have the potential of?
It's not about potential. Let me tell you something. Every time I see a black man rise up and do something, that just does my heart all the good in the world. It really does. And every opportunity that I get to encourage them to go further, I do. And the reason for that is, yes, they do dehumanize us. Them. And us as black women, they dehumanize us too. But every opportunity I get to say, job well done. Keep up the good work. You can go further. Those are the kind of things that I instill into our young black men and boys. That's what I do. Because, you know what? They need to know that somebody is proud of them. Okay? I have had young black men to tell me nobody has never told them that they were proud of them. I said, well, now you can strike that off your list.
But you know what the problem is with that? Let me tell you. Let me tell you what the problem I have with. I'm gonna tell you the problem that I have with that. The problem that I have with that is that means that we are failing in our culture. That means that we are failing in our village. That means that we are failing in our communities. Because if we have an 18 or a 19-year-old boy that we have not embraced yet and said that I'm proud of you or job well done or you can dream bigger than your biggest dream, then we are failing as a culture. We are not doing what we should be doing to protect our black boys, our black girls, and encourage them. Like that means that we're failing
more often. We don't do it often enough. To me,
I disagree.
We don't do it often enough. Okay. It's just like, you know what? I look at it like this here. It's just like working a job. Okay.
There's more things out here that cater to us.
Yeah, it is.
Cater to us. That's why I'm saying boy versus girl in our culture. Like there was a time where we was so worried about black girls having babies. So we had a whole movement. I was a part of the movement. There was a whole movement of you don't have kids because you're gonna ruin your life, or you're not gonna go far, or it was like never a thing that said because you have children, it doesn't mean that you can't go far in life. It doesn't mean that, you know, your life is over. It doesn't mean that you can't graduate college. It was the total opposite of that. You heard, you must be fast, or you must be this, or you must be that, or this, that, and the third.
But I made sure. Let me tell you something. Now, you can't say that your mama didn't make sure that you didn't finish school.
Hold on, let me just say this. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Making me finish school is not encouraging me that I could do it. That's two different things. It was like, the thing is, you felt like you had to make me go to school when you didn't have to make me, because dropping out was never an option in my mind anyway. I think that was an option in your mind that you thought maybe that's what I was considering because I had a child. But in my mind, that was the fuel to make me go further. That was the fuel to make me go harder. It was never that, okay, I got this kid, so I'm not going to go to school. I'm going to just drop out and go get it. No, I'm going to go to school, and I'm going to get a job, and I'm going to go to college, and I'm going to do whatever it is I had to do. Not because I felt like you was making me do it. It was because I knew that now I'm not just responsible for me. I'm responsible for somebody else. That's what you take credit for, because you instilled that in me. I think the fear was that I thought that you thought that you saw all these other young girls that was dropping out of school because they had babies. So I'm going to make sure my daughter don't do it. But the whole thing was I wasn't going to do it anyway. You know, it was just like, it was more or less like, and because you didn't see the light in me, that wasn't even an option for me. That built a little resentment from me to you because I'm like, dang, you don't even see I'm busting my chops. Period. Like, I'm handling my business, period. It wasn't like, oh, I'll make you go to school, you got to sit on this pillow. I would have stood up in class if I had to. Because I was that determined to complete school. Like, to complete what I started. And I believe that that's where we as parents fail. I feel like I even am guilty of that. Because I also had a fear of my daughters or my sons becoming teen parents. I didn't want that for them, right? So, I think I was like overbearing when it came to sex. I may have even introduced it to them way too early. I talked to them constantly about, safe sex and being protected. I even had a condom drawer in my house. Like, even if you don't want to talk to me about it, just be safe about it. Because now, in my mind, I don't want a generational curse to continue. So now I'm like, listen, even if you don't want to talk to me about it, here's some condoms. Be safe. This is how you use them. That kind of stuff. Beware of that kind of boy. Beware of that kind of girl. And I think because I did that like instilled in them curiosity. Because I was working on my own fear too. Like, even like, thinking about like just hindsight, thinking about when my first grandson came along, my daughter was terrified. She was terrified to tell me. She was scared to tell me and I knew that was a fear that I instilled. I did that. I'm responsible for that. So I had to take that. Because I knew that I'm like, don't get no babies, because baby, I'm not bumping no baby. You're going to have to get out of it. But I didn't really mean in literal sense, you're going to have to get out. I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to be there for you. But I instilled the fear. And I thought that was a way of deterring. But in fact, that just made her afraid to come talk to me. Because I instilled the fear. And then from that learning experience, I learned that I needed to speak not in a fictional sense, like, all dressed up, but to speak in a literal and an honest sense and a realization sense.
This is the difference. Having children, women have babies every day, and I say that women have babies every day. Having a child doesn't determine whether or not you're going to succeed or not succeed in life. That is up to the parent.
That's some 2000 stuff. Because some 1990 stuff, it was like the statistics was like they already like you was already programmed. You saw it happening every single day. Like the reality is you saw it happening every day.
Every generation has its flaws. Even when I was coming up. When a kid got pregnant when I was coming up, we wasn't allowed, that young lady, whoever she may have been at that particular time, she was not allowed to play with us anymore. Okay? Mm-hmm. She wasn't allowed to play with us. She had to go over there with the adult women that already done started families, had husbands and stuff like that. She was not allowed to play with us anymore.
Why do you think she wasn't allowed to play with y'all?
Well, I don't even know. Because she was pregnant, because she was having a baby, because she was no longer considered as a little girl.
I think that is.
I don't know.
I'm just assuming. I think that is a complete horrible practice, and
I'm not saying whether it was
I was a victim. I was a victim of that. I was a victim of that because when I was in high school, I had my baby, and before I had my baby in high school, I was on the flag team in high school. And I was not allowed to be on the flag team in high school anymore because I had a baby. And the consensus was because I had a baby, I was a bad reflection on the school. And that's a true statement.
Well, this is the thing. You had a fighting mother, and I really didn't give
a shit
how they felt about my daughter at that particular time.
You're missing it. Like, you could have fought and yelled and screamed, but the impact, the way it made me feel inside, like, was not like a good feeling. It made me feel terrible.
But Yvette, the thing about it was you had a support system.
Mom, you missing it. It don't got nothing to do with the support system. When somebody ostracizes you, whether you have a support system or not, it does not eradicate the depression that you feel,
I'm not saying
lack of self-esteem that you feel.
I'm not saying that
that's what we're talking about.
You. That's not what I'm saying to you, Yvette. What I am saying to you, yes, they did say that you could no longer do those things. You know, they didn't even want you to even attend school if we really want to be truthful about it. Okay? But I had a conversation with your principal behind closed doors.
I know. I'm aware of the conversation. But we're not talking about that. But we're not talking about that as a parent.
Listen. All of it goes hand in hand. You cannot ostracize.
Thank you. Vet is talking about cultural responses to her pregnancy. Mom is talking right. So when you were coming up as a teenager, let me tell you, even when young girls got pregnant, when you were coming up as a teenager, they even took those young girls and put them in separate schools. Mom. And I think separating them from other young, I thought all of that was wrong. I really did. I thought that was wrong. I thought it was wrong, and it shouldn't have never have been. Why would you separate somebody just because they're having a baby? Actually, Mom, if you really want to know what was happening, they weren't necessarily separating us. They was asking us, did we want to just go to night school and get a GED to try to speed it along since you had a child, because so many people was dropping out of school after they had kids. But what I was trying to express to you, not a reflection of what you did or you didn't do as a mom to support me when I was going through this time, but there was a lot of things that was happening emotionally, being ostracized by my culture that you weren't aware of, that you couldn't protect me from. Even if you wanted to protect me, you couldn't protect me. You couldn't protect me from the church mothers that was talking about me. You couldn't protect me from the people when I walked down the street that had opinions about me. You couldn't protect me from when I walked into a doctor's office, how they looked at me. There was so much going on as a young lady in that time, being a mother, that was like it was depressing. It literally, I felt like I had to fight through a forest of vines and trees every single day to just be seen and be heard and not just be looked up on as just another black girl with a baby. People they looked at you and they automatically assumed things about you. They didn't know I was hiding my kid in my clothes going to college though. They didn't know how I was sitting on pillows after giving birth to get through and take my final exams. They didn't know that I was a straight A student. They didn't know that I was a strong black girl. They didn't know that I was coming from a 2-parent home. They didn't care because I was put into a box like you know what the statistics say. Statistics say that you are a single parent, on welfare, come from a single parent home, you're going to drop out of school, you're not going to have this and you're not going to have that. And that is what we're talking about. Like, if a boy becomes a father, a teen father, that's not the same thing. He's not getting talked about. Ain't nobody talking about, oh, you want you this and you that and you this and you that. It's actually looked upon like you a man now, you got to go get you a job whether you're in school or not. It's like totally different. One versus the other is totally different. The treatment, one versus is totally different. They say you hurry up and go through school and get your GED so you can take care of that baby. You drop out of school and go get a job because you have a baby. Apples and oranges, but the same scenario. But one is a girl and one is a boy. That's what we're talking about. Not like it's not a reflection. Like as a mother, you were amazing. You are amazing. This is not about that, but it was so much going on with me you didn't know. That I put on a face when I walked through the door. Like I had to put on a face. I was pretending to be happy. I was sad. I was being judged every day, every time I walked out that door. Every single day. And it didn't help that I had 3 kids. By the time, 2020, I'm pushing. I got 2 in the stroller, 1 on the arm. They looking like, oh, I know she ain't got nothing going on. I had no idea that I have a whole boyfriend and we're raising our kids together and we already have a plan. We both in college and working and we taking care of our kids.
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, it's the same thing kind of happened to me But I was accused of having children. I had never had any kids.
Mm.
Okay, not one. And according to them, I had a house
Right,
full of
one
children.
good parent cannot undo culture. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I was accused of having children. I had never had a kid. Not one child. Chick or child. Matter of fact, I didn't even have a boyfriend at the time.
I think the thing is,
But,
it's like
you
it
know,
was a. They
people
thought that it was a.
assume, you know, sometimes people just assume the worst.
Yeah, and they projected their fears about you, about what was happening in our culture to every single. I can guarantee you, I'm willing to put my head on the chopping block that I am not the only one. I am willing to put my head on the chopping block.
And I'm sure I wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
You know, but to me, I took all that negativity that people was portraying about me because I had a lot of negativity being portrayed as to that's who she was, and nobody really knew who I really were. Okay? So I took that negativity and turned it around and made it a positive entity for me. Just like when, she ain't gonna never go to school and do this, that, and the third. You don't know what I'm gonna go to school to be. And it's the same thing with you. And it's the same thing with a whole lot of other young black men and women out here in this world today. They look at them because they may be dirty, snotty nose. They even may be homeless. But they may be in college. Okay? And that same person that was probably homeless, probably trying to struggle and go through school, may be your next senator or your next president. Who knows? But for people, because they walking down the street, for people portray them to be something and they don't know. And see, that is where we go wrong. We assume the wrong thing about people.
I think our perspective.
Our
perspectives about situations actually it clouds or distorts our reality. Yeah, and I believe that because what you say, but having to constantly take negativity and make it positive is why we're dying fast or living with disease. That ain't how it's supposed to be, and I absolutely agree 1,000%. That is not how it's supposed to be. I think because we have different different mindsets. I said we have different mindsets because like in the era that my mother grew up in versus the era that I grew up in, you and I, and the era that our children and our future generations are growing up in, some things in our culture has not changed, and this is one of them, and it need to stop. I don't even think that we're looking at how it tears people down. We can't say or blame white people for tearing down in our culture, and we are guilty of doing the same thing. Why not take that young girl or that young man by the hand and sit down and talk to them? Like, yes, your life is going to change, but your life is not over. And on top of that, we are responsible because now we're the elders. And like it's so crazy because a lot of the judgment that I received was right in the church. Right from the church. People that's willing to throw me a Bible verse real quick. But what about the elders supposed to teach the young people? I mean, they talked about me like a dog. Like a dog. You know, and it was like to a point that made me not even want to go to church. I'm like, if this what church people is, I don't want to be bothered with them. Because that's how it was. That's exactly, I was called a Jezebel by the first lady of the church. Hello? What am I? I'm like, I didn't know who she was. I'm like, who that is? I didn't know if I was supposed to be like, because I'm being compared to somebody in the Bible or what. And then I get home and I'm like, my mom, who was Jezebel? And she's like, what? Like, she was absolutely appalled. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man. It's that, but It's like we have to take accountability and stop wanting to blame and point fingers at people. And we keep, like, you hear a lot about breaking generational curses. I believe this is one of them. We
one
have
of the
to
other
stop
generations of curses that I can remember as coming up, where when a young lady would get pregnant, suddenly she would disappear.
Okay. And so would the baby. And she came back, and there was no baby, and it was her.
Well, she would come back, and all of a sudden, the mother had a baby.
That's the way it was.
Okay,
that's those what they call them? What they call them? Them deep dark family secrets that don't nobody want to talk about. That you raising somebody as your auntie, and that's really your child. I know that happened to someone before. I know that happened to someone before. A friend of mine found out that their sister was really their mother after who they thought was their mother passed away. Like,
I mean, to be absolutely honest with you, I was raised up thinking that my mother was my sister.
I know you shared this with us on the Ski Shack last summer. You told us about it, yeah.
I was raised up thinking that my mother was my sister.
But for different reasons, though.
For different reasons. And my uncle was my brother. Okay? Until one hot summer, right before we was getting ready to go on vacation, my uncle and I got into an argument. And I think I was around 12 years old, maybe 13 at the oldest. And that is when I found out that my sister was not my sister, but my mother. And my uncle wasn't my brother, but he was my uncle.
Got it.
Okay? And
I think also...
So this is a lot. It's a lot of things that need to really be... It need to be torn away.
I don't think you can tear it away. This is the thing. I don't think you can tear it away. You cannot just say, "Oh, I'm just gonna tear this up like this never existed." No, we have to take accountability for it.
Maybe I'm using the wrong phrase. We need to just take the covers off of it, okay? And we need, instead of making somebody feel that you should be shamed or shunning them.
But how do we do that? Like, that's the whole thing. Like, you can say, "Oh, we're gonna take the covers off," but it's in people's mindsets. In certain mindsets, people really believe that, you know, what they're doing or what they're saying to a person is okay. Just like, you know, one of our viewers said, like, the negativity, like constantly having to take what somebody is saying to you in a negative perspective and just changing it to something positive so that you can, you know, persevere. But the whole thing is that just make life hard. That makes life harder than it has to be. People evolve later on in life. I'll make it personal. I'll make it personal for me. Because I know all the negativity affected me. It affected me emotionally, physically, and spiritually. It affected me as a mother. It affected me as a person. It affected me as a daughter. It affected me as a sister. And it affected me as a wife. It affected me. I was not clear on who I was. Because I wanted to be who my mom said I was supposed to be. I wanted to be who, culture said I should be. I wanted to be a reflection of positivity to my children. I wanted to prove the naysayers wrong. And in the midst of all of that, I had no clue who I was. I had no clue what I wanted to do. I had no clue what direction I was going. And most of it is because I was so busy constantly trying to fight off the negativity. You ruined your life. I got an undershirt on.
Okay.
You ruined your life. Your life is now over. You're not going to do anything with your life now. You got all these kids. And then the next thing was everybody was so concerned about, well, now you got all these kids. When you going to get a husband? When he going to marry you? When you going to this? Nobody ever thought about the fact that I didn't want to be married then. Yes, it's a distraction. It's a distraction. It's oppressive. It makes you like, it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary struggle that we don't have to deal with, that we don't have to project onto other people. Sometimes I believe that those that's doing it is actually projecting their own insecurities, their own shortcomings. Now they got something to talk about, something to gossip about, and not realizing how detrimental what they're doing and what they're saying is to the other person.
The shortcomings of their own children onto somebody else.
They're just insecurities or whatever it is, but you're projecting it, and then now you're making it like, comparatively, you're saying it's okay for the boy to have as many kids as he wants. But as soon as you, let's keep it 100 in our culture. That's what it looks like. I can guarantee you that Tremaine wasn't dealing with what I was dealing with when we had all them kids and weren't married.
I can't speak for that.
I know for a fact. I know for a fact. Because they would come to me and talk about when y'all gonna get married. Or don't you think you had enough kids by now? Shouldn't you be married already? Or girl, you're gonna have to tighten up and get this man to marry you. Everybody biggest concern was getting married. What about the fact that I wasn't even ready to be married? Just because I got kids don't mean I'm supposed to go get married. I'm not supposed to go run to the altar because it makes everybody else comfortable in the church. And that's exactly we have to stop doing that. Yes, and we need to, as a culture, stop being afraid to talk about sex. Stop being afraid to talk about masturbation. Stop being afraid to talk about homosexuality and sexuality and bisexuality and curiosity. We have to stop being afraid to do that. We can't just keep hiding behind it.
I'm not saying that we should be afraid to talk about it. That's not, I don't know. In today's society, things are so much different than when I was coming up, and the expectations are different.
How so?
They are. They're just different. They are.
The expectations are different.
The expectations are different.
Expectations of what?
Because you got to think about it. Nowadays, you have a different generation of men and women raising their children. You have same-sex mothers and fathers raising kids today. You didn't hear about that when I was coming up as a young woman. Okay?
I think there's always been homosexuality.
I'm not saying that it has not always been. What I'm saying is that it is more open and is more openly discussed nowadays than it was when I was coming up, even as a teenager.
Why do you think people didn't talk about it?
Because I guess, I don't know, maybe their parents were ashamed of it.
Why didn't you talk about it?
I didn't have a reason to.
What you mean?
I just didn't have a reason to. One of my best friends was gay. I didn't find anything wrong with being gay. Let me just put it that way.
But I'm just asking,
I didn't find anything wrong.
What's the thing?
I didn't find anything wrong with a person being gay. If that was their lifestyle, that was their lifestyle. It wasn't necessarily my lifestyle. And I didn't judge them because they were gay. So it was never an issue for me.
So what is it she say? That we are not designed by God to deal with it. It puts us out of alignment from our God or our God ordained why. I don't think I understand that statement. I'm not sure.
Is it on Instagram?
Yeah, I'm not really sure I understand. I don't think I really understand the whole thing. But so having a discussion about it puts you out of alignment. I'm confused.
I don't know,
because I don't believe that. If God can talk about homosexuality in His holy word, I don't think that it puts you out of alignment to give education and prepare your children for what you see out there. She said, y'all have moved on from that. What you mean? I guess, I don't know. But I just was asking why, because I more or less felt like if we are going to educate our children as a whole, we got to educate them about everything. We can't just kind of pick and choose. We're going to tell you about this.
It
but
wasn't
you got to
that I was
picking
and choosing anything.
I didn't say that.
When y'all was coming up, it wasn't that I was picking and choosing. Just like you said, you can look at your children and just see whether they was going to be feminine or masculine. Okay? I didn't have to worry about neither one, to be honest with you.
I'm sorry, but that's not true.
Well, I'm sorry, that's not true.
I told her she's gonna have some eye if that's not true.
I don't know. I didn't see it. Okay, and apparently my mother intuition was correct because my son is straight and so is my daughter. But y'all both, I don't know about him, but I do know that you have gay friends, and I embrace them just like they would be my own kids. Okay, I never judge them. You know, I accept them for who they are. If you gay, damn it, you're gay. It ain't nothing I can do about it. If that's your lifestyle, that's your lifestyle. It doesn't make you less of a person just because you're gay. You know, it don't. It doesn't make you less of a person. That's who you are as an individual. It's not for me to judge. It's either for me to accept you as who you are or not accept you as who you are. Okay? I'm not gonna go around and dig up somebody and say, oh, I got a gay friend. No, I'm not gonna do that. You know, but I know people who are gay. And I accept them for who they are. I know people who are lesbian, and I accept them for who they are.
Okay, Mom. No, I don't know how we got there, but
no, I'm just saying I accept people for who they are. Okay. Period.
Okay.
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 I accept them for who they are. And as far as our culture, we got a long way to go. We really do. Because there's a lot of things that go on in our culture as black people that we have a hard time accepting. We do. And I don't know why. I don't know why.
Before you can get to acceptance, you have to take accountability.
You have to acknowledge.
If you're not willing to
you have to acknowledge it. Number one, you have to acknowledge.
Oh, we acknowledge that it's there. We acknowledge, but we are people that like to sweep things underneath the rug. Family.
Well, I mean, we're not the only ones that sweep stuff underneath the rug. That's
but we can't. This is not about comparing. We talking about what's going on with us and how we can be better.
We do sweep a lot of things under the rug, and sad to say, a lot of times things that's been swept under the rug doesn't come out until Grandma Suki or whoever get ready to be on her deathbed and she holding your hand and it's like, baby, before I close my eyes, I want you to know that Bill, he wasn't your brother. You know, Bill wasn't your brother. Bill was your daddy.
That's a lot of times.
And that's a lot of times that's how it happened. Mm-hmm. Okay? Instead of letting you know now why don't hide it. Why are you hiding it? Okay, why are you hiding it? And then this is the other thing. You hiding it, then you have resentment against that child. Okay? And that child wondering why her mother, her father hate her so much.
Well, we are out of time. That's
the whole scenario of it all.
An interesting topic. A lot of different kinds of emotions have been expressed here tonight. I think the biggest thing that we need to just keep in consideration is that we do have to not just acknowledge but take accountability, but also be a voice and an action of change. And that's really what this conversation is about tonight, to get things stirred up, to get people talking, to not just see that there are some things that are indifferent between not just boys and girls, men and women, and that we play a part in that with our teachings. That it start from home is a true statement, but also it takes a village. It's also another true statement, but they need not just to be statements. They need to have some action behind them. I want to thank y'all for tuning in with us tonight here in the She Shack, because this conversation, although it took a whole bunch of different turns, we discussed a lot of different avenues of how it affects both men and women in our current generation, past generation, but also the effect that it's going to have on our future generation. So if you have any more comments, you can drop them down in the chat. If you would like to hear us talk more about this topic or topics similar to this, by all means send us a message, or you can drop that in the chat and we will see how we can add it in our listings of upcoming shows. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook. Conversations with A Queen. We are also on YouTube at the She Shack Live Experience. We are on Instagram also as the She Shack Live Experience. We are now on Pinterest, Conversations with A Queen, also on LinkedIn and Twitter. So thank y'all again for tuning in, hanging in there with us, and always supporting us as we try to be a voice of change and a voice of reasoning, and to have some fun and some wholesome discussion. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's serious, sometimes it's light, sometimes it's heavy. You find it all right here in the She Shack. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week. Good night.
You remember Snoopy in the country?